would you please tell us about first your name and your religious leader role?
Sure. Um, Hello. So I'm Dara Rosenblatt, and I am the cantor at Temple Bethel in Richmond, Virginia. So what I do as a cantor, maybe you've heard of a rabbi before, but as a cantor, I do basically all the things that a rabbi would do, which are, if you don't know what a rabbi is, which are leading services and worship. I also do all of the musical things. So I lead a choir and a band, and I sing a lot. Maybe you'll hear a little bit of singing later. And many, many years ago in this beautiful sanctuary, you can see the ark behind me, which is where behind that are scrolls, Torahs. I can open
Oh,
that later.
cool. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm happy to open it later too. So
Cool.
basically, we have an organ, and they had a choir, and they filled the space with music every Friday and Saturday for Shabbat. So our holy day, our Sabbath day. So yeah, when I open the ark, you'll see the Torah scrolls, and the Torah scrolls, when you open them up, have a lot of Hebrew text, and I also chant and teach others to chant those texts as well. So what's on the scroll, I also teach, and there's a lot of different variations of what those chants sound like, and what those melodies are, depending on what we're looking at in there. So
Wow. Okay, I can't take the excitement anymore. Anticipation. I think we should see what's in there if you can show us.
sure, yeah, of course.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, give
Can
us
you
a
see it?
tour. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, so you'll notice that if you can see, there are lots of. It's all white. So every cover is white, and we have, um, I think, 10 scrolls that you can see. Every scroll is the same. So every scroll has the same text in it, but every scroll is actually like rolled to a different place depending on what we're chanting that day. So we never
Wow.
chant the whole scroll because that'd take forever. We chant the whole scroll over a course of 3 years in our synagogue. Yeah,
Awesome. I love it. We do something similar in church. We have a kind of a 3-year rotation as well. There's so many parallels that I
right.
love. We have our Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and every 3 years we kind of rotate through Matthew, Mark, and Luke. John gets thrown in there sporadically in other places, but it's a 3-year rotation, just like you all. I love that we have the same custom.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
let's
great.
talk now about our holidays. Do you want to close the curtain behind you as we talk, or leave
Sure.
it open?
Yeah, I can, whatever. I'm happy to do either. I can
Is
have.
it closed? Is it closed because just to kind of protect the elements and also just to kind of make it a sacred space?
Yeah, so we have the curtain, which I'll close in a second, and then there's wooden doors, which I'll leave open. So during every service, the wooden doors are open, but we have particular points in our worship where we open the curtain for folks to like stand in front of the ark, and then also we take out scrolls. So we also need to open the ark at that
Yep.
point, and it's
Yep.
customary to stand when the ark is open. So it is our holiest kind of thing we have, our ritual.
Yeah.
So I will close the arc just to be respectful of the Torahs. But
Yeah, go for it. Thank you for showing it to us. Maybe you could tell us about Sukkot.
sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank
So
you.
Sukkot, you are correct. It does begin this Friday evening and goes until the following Sunday. So all of our holidays begin in the evening and end the following evening. So when we
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, it's actually already been a new day in Jewish practice. So our days begin in the evening and go to the following evening. So our first day of Sukkot begins Friday night and ends Saturday night. And then our second day of Sukkot starts Saturday night and ends Sunday night. So
Nice.
I just want to make sure that that's kind of clear.
Yeah, good. Good to
It's a
know.
little bit different. So Sukkot is our fall harvest holiday. So as you probably know, this is a time of year where there's lots of things growing, and we're harvesting a lot of different fruits and vegetables and other produce, and especially in the land of Israel. So in Israel, we are really like that is how all of our holidays come to us is from Israel. So in Israel, they observe 7 days of Sukkot, and here we observe 8 days because we are not living in the land of Israel. So
Oh,
that's another thing that sometimes gets lost in translation in some communities don't follow that, but where I am at Temple Bethel, we do. So we observe 8 days. So Sukkot, again, is the holiday of the the holiday where we have the harvest.
Yeah.
And it's a festival where we set up temporary structures outside. So the sukkah is our temporary structure that we build to kind of show how fragile and how temporary things can be. So the biblical kind of connection to building a sukkah is that it represents the 40 years that the Israelites went from slavery to freedom. And they had to build temporary homes as they traveled and as they went through the journey. And so this is one of the things that we come back to. And it's also an opportunity for us to be with the elements, meaning to be surrounded by what's happening in the environment by building a temporary structure outside. So we talk a lot about a huge part of this holiday is connection to the earth. So it's a harvest holiday, and also a holiday where we pray for rain, and we pray that the divine will save us and will help us and sustain us. And what does that mean without realizing that things are temporary, just like a sukkah. So a sukkah, as you'll see in a picture, is a 3-sided structure. So it has kind of like an outdoor box, but nice and big so you can sit inside. And it has 3 walls and then a roof where you can see the stars. So the roof...
Oh, so it's always kind of open?
Yes. So most people will put palm fronds or some sort of like branches on the top of their sukkah, and the sides are usually tarp or something else, as you want to make sure that it stays up for the 8 days. Of the holiday, which can be a little tricky depending on how good your building skills are. And so what people will do during the holiday of Sukkot is they'll sit outside in this temporary structure called the sukkah, and they will eat, they'll sleep, they'll drink, they'll hang out with friends, they'll do lots of different things in the sukkah, and it's kind of your temporary dwelling place. And I know, not everyone will sleep there. There's no, there are no rules. Like you don't have to sleep there, but people will, depending. And there are a lot of different ways to observe Sukkot, and it's really fun. It's a very fun and festive holiday. Lots of joy. It's the week of joy.
Wow. And I bet a lot of our boys are thinking, oh, that sounds pretty good to me. A little camp outside, put up a big tent, have dinner, do a little camp out, sleeping bag. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So Sukkot is the holiday, and it's a plural of sukkah. Thank you. I'm learning a lot of things here. And I think there are also some ritual items that go along with the holiday. Do you have anything there that you could show us or tell us?
I do.
Very cool.
Yes, give me 1 second.
Go for it.
So these are our ritual items for Sukkot. And again, what else do we do on Sukkot? We don't just sit in a sukkah and eat and drink and sleep maybe, but we also do a lot of worship and prayer. And so part of our worship and prayer includes these ritual items. So we pray with these in our hands, we shake with these in our hands. Here. I'll go through that in a moment. The lulav is this palm. See how tall it is?
Okay.
The lulav is the long piece, palm frond. Then we have, I always mess up I never know which one's willow and which one's myrtle. I think this one's myrtle.
One's willow, one's myrtle.
Yep, so willow and myrtle. So Hadass and Arava are the Hebrew names for these other species. So these are 3 out of the 4 species. So these are the 3 species that make up, we call it the lulav, even though one of the pieces is a lulav. But we have lulav, Hadass, and Arava, which are the Hebrew words. And then an etrog, which is the 4th species.
Etrog,
yep. So an etrog is like a citron. If you know it, if parents are watching, they might know what that is.
Looks like a big bumpy lemon
Yep.
lime combination, but it's bigger and it's
Yeah.
got a lot of texture.
Yes. So this usually it's more yellow,
Uh-huh.
and these come from Israel. So actually, all of this comes from Israel, and these are what represent Sukkot. Especially the etrog is a Sukkot. It's a like you have to get it in Israel. So this has been imported from Israel, and they're very expensive, believe it or not. Because can you see that little tip at the top?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we see
this
it.
is called a pitome. A
Pitome.
pitome.
Do some of them not have that little tip?
So the pitome is actually the only way that the etrog is kosher. So you can only use this when you're praying and with the lulav if it has this. If this is broken off, the pitome, you can't use it. So you can,
Wow.
it won't be kosher. So
So where do these plants come from? Where does the tradition come from?
So the tradition it's interesting. So it comes from the land of Israel, as I said a few
Uh-huh.
times. But
Hmm. Hmm.
but basically the tradition is for when we shake the lulav and etrog to pray for rain. And
And it seems like we shake the green branches. It's kind of like getting the rain excited to fall. Like, come on, rain! Like, here are your branches that you want to water so badly. Is
right,
that kind of how it goes?
yeah. So I just checked because I was like, I bet he's going to ask me a question that stumps me. So I
Cool. Right.
um, so I knew there was a reason for the etrog. So basically, our Torah often describes fruits and different things in different ways, and then we associate a particular fruit or something else to it. So the Torah describes this fruit as peri eitz hadar, and peri is fruit, eitz is tree, and hadar is the type of tree.
Mhm.
So the type of tree, the hadar, basically we had
Fruits
to
of the.
guess what the hadar tree was. And
Oh, okay.
the hadar tree in Israel, which they figured out, produces etrogim. So
Oh,
an etrog is one, and etrogim is plural. So again, another plural word. So this etrog comes from a hadar tree. So that's where it comes from. It's written in our Torah, like most things.
thank you for showing us the luvav. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Luvav?
the lulav. Yep, lulav. Mhm.
Lulav, the lulav, and the etrog.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe we will end our time with maybe with a blessing.
Sure, yeah.
And
I thought about what I would do. So on Sukkot, we say a
uh-huh.
lot of blessings for holding the lulav and etrog together and for shaking it, and we sing a lot. And so one of
Yeah.
the blessings that we say, actually not only on Sukkot, but on every holiday, it's called Shehecheyanu. It's a little tricky to say, but I'll sing it for you and then I'll translate.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
Wonderful.
course. And this is a little bit different than the traditional melody, so it's more of like a song. So I hope you like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Ah, 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 amen.
Yay. Thank you for
Yeah,
singing
of
for
course,
us.
of course. So what that means, it means blessed are you or bountiful are you, amazing, infinite God. And thank you for granting us this day and every day, and for sustaining us, and for giving us all life. So it's a real prayer of gratitude, which I love. And we should say it every single day. We could say it every single day,
Yep.
but we especially say it on holidays, such as Sukkot.
That's beautiful. And that's a prayer that we can certainly use and share here in this school and every day of our life as well, no matter what kind of faith path we travel.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Let's say goodbye to the boys at St. Chris. Thank you, Cantor Dara, for
Yeah.
sharing with us so much.
You're so welcome.
And how do we greet each other and say, you know, goodbye or blessings in the Hebrew language and the Jewish tradition?
Yeah, sure. So you can say like shalom, which I think you might already know. Shalom is always a good way to say goodbye in Hebrew. And another thing that we say this time of year, because we have so many holidays for Sukkot, we say Chag, which means holiday, and Sameach. So we have the ch sound. It's really fun to say. Um,
Let me get ready.
yeah,
Chag Sameach,
yeah, exactly, which means
right?
happy holiday. Um,
Happy holiday.
yeah, happy holiday.
Well, Chag Sameach to
Thank you.
you
Chag
and
Sameach to
your,
you.
yeah, and your congregation, and thank you very much, and shalom. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.